My heart has a door and it's only open for you. It's got a precision garage door and I lift it up. I want to make love to you.
Stupid.
Got a piece of letter stuck on my teeth. It was killing the mood. I was trying to sing a sexy song about precision garage doors.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I know you're not going to believe me when I say this, but if you had a precision garage door, you would agree with me in that it is the sexiest garage door you can have.
Yeah. If you still have an old, like if you have the garage door you bought your house with, it's old, rickety, loud
as hell,
and not Wi-Fi, just get a new motor. Get the silent package. Me and Daniel got it. Seth Petrozelli, our buddy Tony Rage, my neighbor Francis, tons of people I know got the silent package, and if you ask for that, just tell them you heard it on Tom and Dan.
New roller sleeves. I mean, these guys have been doing it for I don't know how many years Precision Garage Door has been in business, but I know they have over 80 locations all across the country. And one of the coolest things is that we have a hotline. I know Tom's been real big on letting you guys know, like, look, you're going to get better treatment because
personal service.
Yeah, because you know us. Write this down. 407-710-BDMS. That's 407-710-2367. When you call that, you're going to get Big Tim. They're hiring again. They need service techs, installers, office staff. They're a growing company. I mean, people have houses, and houses have garage doors, and boom, there you go.
If you need a brand new garage door, which can be expensive, Precision Doors offering 5% off any brand new door. Just tell them you want the Tom and Dan hookup. But again, get that Wi-Fi. So when you leave the house, if you're like, did I leave the garage door open? You could just go to your app and check. And if you did, you could just push close.
Well, my
anywhere
wife
in the world.
Had to do it yesterday. I was leaving, and I thought I closed the garage door. I hit the button and then just drove off. And then my wife texted me, did you close the garage door? And I was like, that's fucking big. Seriously, I was mad because I looked at my app, I did not close the door, and she did it for me. It's Precision Door Service of Central Florida, 407-710-BDMS. Call Big Tim.
In the boy, the larynx and the vocal cords change so that his voice acquires the deeper pitch of a man's voice. The shoulders become broader, thighs grow longer, and the muscles become stronger. Hair begins to grow on the face, under the arms, and in the pubic area.
You are a man, and in taking on the role of the world's second greatest gender, you must adhere to a gentleman's guide to manliness.
It's a gentleman's guide to manliness. I'm Steve Kramer.
Don Van.
Dan Dennis. What's going on, guys? How's
What's
everybody
going
doing?
on? How are you guys doing?
Yeah. I'm great. We got a big 10-year anniversary party coming up this weekend. You're going to be there.
Yeah.
I hear tell. And rumor on the street is you might be performing something.
Yeah, that is the rumor. That is the maybe.
Born performer, had his own rock band, signed to a major label, then turned attorney, then dips his toe in everything but attorney in. Because
no, I do the attorney in too.
But come on, you're bored of it, aren't you? You're bored of it.
Yeah, I got bored a long time ago. That's why I mix other things in.
Yeah,
Keeps the variety is the spice of life.
Let's talk.
Gotta have a joie de vivre.
I don't know what that means. Let's jump in here for a second.
Zest for life.
What song are you? Are you performing a song? What are you doing? You doing a?
I'm debating right now because I also want to. I want to make sure it
Spoken
goes
word?
over. Maybe I'll do spoken word, Shatner style. You can get the band lined up, and I'll just
I'm not sure that'll go over the spoken word,
but. There's a social experiment of bombing intentionally, which it's worthwhile sometimes.
I can't see you bombing intentionally. Sorry.
Maybe I'll do a stand-up act and intentionally bomb and make it the most awkward 5 minutes on the earth.
I can see
and then people will really say I'm not funny.
I can see you bomb and then later saying you were bombing intentionally.
No, I would tell you ahead of time.
Oh, would you? Okay.
I would tell you ahead of time, but not let everybody else know, and then I would record that so that later when you said that I didn't say it, I would...
It would be like a big aha
Here's
moment.
the time-stamped audio recording that I told you ahead of time.
I'm thinking of other jobs like attorney, in which the most advertised best part of them is probably done the least amount of time. For instance, like
going to trial for
going
attorneys?
to trial, yeah.
But we do that a lot.
Yeah, but it's probably
We're in court
not
a lot, more than most attorneys.
Are you in
Never
court
that interesting,
more
probably.
than not
No, it
in
is.
court?
It is?
It is not more than not, but basically everything. everything's kind of geared towards going to court. That idea that's in the 7 Habits, begin with the end in mind. Right. So if you begin with the end in mind and you're in a civil case, the end is the jury instructions to the jury. You read those and then you look, that's what I've got to show in the case. And then you build everything leading up to that. So every move that you make, every maneuver is essentially geared towards that ultimate goal. And maybe you go in some detours here and there to deal with things that come up, but that's the purpose of it. So, that it kind of encompasses the areas of law that we do, which is a lot of litigation work.
But what I mean is, I equate it kind of to firefighter. And what I mean by that is, when my buddy Joe became a firefighter, I always would ask him, how many fires you put out this week? He's like, none. We don't do that. We're basically paramedics for crackheads. And then we put out some fires. And then I was like, how many?
Old lady fell down.
And he's like, we do it every once. And I'm like, well, your whole job as firefighter is like, hey, wait.
Yeah, we're not like that. We actually get to do what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, but I feel like...
Which is like what we like to do. I mean, I did an ad about that. That's why most of us went to law schools to do that. And then, but, it's not necessarily the best thing for people. So if we can avoid it...
Did you just peel a piece of toilet paper off your shoe and lay it on our couch?
No, this is one of the paper towels from the bathroom.
I thought maybe you had a poo-poo towel on our couch.
No.
I was going to say...
Oh, because it's brown like the...
Yeah.
I
don't have my glasses on. I'm sorry.
Okay.
What other job that you only see the most exciting part, and that's what everybody equates to?
Ours is kind of like that. You hear the show, and everybody says, oh, you guys got it easy, brr, 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 brr. But even on a day like today, when we got
No, you do not have it easy.
When we have an event coming up, they don't see you sitting there stressed out and typing on your phone, or me trying to calm, and settle everybody down and be like, it's all right, we're good.
But more...
Every hour in court, it's kind of like the show. Every hour in court has 6 to 8 hours of preparation. That is
not like the show.
Yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, but the show is a few hours in your day.
I asked one question before we started. I was like, what are we going to do today? And then we were like, I don't know.
Yeah,
and
but
that's how much preparation we did.
But you've been working all day on other stuff that is not on air.
Yeah. But all that is the worst part. And
that's the point, right? Is that
but the thing is, I think we do more of the good part, which is the talking, than most people do in their jobs. Our jobs are podcasters. We do more podcasting than firefighters do firefighting, and lawyers do
60-40.
But
trial work.
remember, being a lawyer isn't just going to trial. Also, that's what you don't see on TV. So on TV, you see the either background investigation and going to trial normally, but being a lawyer is probably the most fundamental part of the job is being a writer, because you write a prolific amount when you're a lawyer. 1, 2 is counseling and advising people, and then 3 is going to court and going to mediations.
Well, our producer Samantha's in our chat room right now, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live. She seems to disagree with you and thinks that we do more of the stressful planning, ordering, emailing, and that stuff than we do podcasting.
Yeah, but we do.
But you also are more than a podcaster. You own your own business.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying we do more podcasting than other businesses or jobs do what their job says they are.
We are in...
For instance... if we're podcasts, we do actually more podcasting, literally, time on the air. Let's say it's it's probably 15, 20 hours a week of straight talking, a recording. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then firefighters per week, how many hours a week do they fight fires?
In TV context, what's publicized or in the public perception? What do you... Because
the reality.
Listen, receptionists do what we perceive them to do. They answer phones, they greet people. I mean, you don't really mean
that's not a fun job. I'm talking about what is meant to be firefighter, lawyer.
So astronaut
not all
in space,
jobs.
Right?
Yeah.
His spacewalk time is very, very, very minute compared to his training for spacewalk time.
Or the amount of time
that's a good one, right?
he actually spends in space
is
compared to...
But he has all kinds of other cool stuff. I mean, he's got all the flight training. He's become a pilot.
But if you're
he or she...
But the goal is space.
Yes, yeah.
No, I see what you're saying.
I'm saying astronaut usually you equate. I'm talking about reality. It's like firefighter. Okay, you fight fires. How many hours do you actually fight fires? So little amount.
There are some places where they have firefighters separate from EMTs, and they actually fight fires.
We were one of those places.
No, they're usually combined. I represent a lot of firefighters.
I don't think it should be combined. I think it should be two separate departments.
What's the best
put
job?
Put the dum-dums with the hoses and put the doctors in the ambulances.
What
Yeah,
job?
well, not doctors.
Where
We're
the actual title of the job is what you mainly do all the time.
ER physician.
Yeah, but you're doing so many different, like
Tattoo
surgeon.
artist.
Surgeon only does surgery.
ER physician, or surgeon.
But the problem with the ER phisian is that
But a surgeon does a lot of consults too. I mean, they have to meet with people before the surgery a lot of times.
Vape shop owner.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking
Tattoo
more
artist.
He's talking about popular, cool careers.
Tattoo artist, maybe he probably spends most of his time actually tattooing skin.
There's some hangout time in there too.
Oh yeah, there's
a lot of Xbox.
Like a lot of that.
And then but you're right. I bet you tattoo artist spends the least amount of time actually needle on skin. Most of it's like
drawing, changing.
Radio.
I don't
radio
like that.
personality, not podcaster. Radio personality. When you guys were on the radio, basically.
Especially
you just had
a radio
to show
host, just show up, turn on the mic.
You were writing your 1 minute comedy 1 minute before you did it. And you asked me, what should I do?
Yeah.
All the time.
I guess, like if you're on the radio because you work for a company, and if your job is just talent, then most of the time you only are talking, and therefore that the job really defines itself.
Exactly. That's why it's so nice. Now, like when you mix a job with being a business owner, all bets are off.
Yeah.
That's the thing about podcasting. If you were working for a company podcasting, it'd be easy. It's what makes your job not easy. What makes you have to do stuff other than just talking is owning your own business. I was thinking about that today. I'm always in that position of like all of us are of forcing your way almost. You almost have to force your will upon the world if you own your own business.
It's like that with professional athletes for the most part, too, because most of the time, 90% of your time, you're training for games or practicing, and then the actual playing time is so small.
Yeah.
Just if you're in the NFL.
We were talking about that this morning.
It's a small amount of time.
Tom Brady's watching tape sun up to sundown, then he's got practice to do, and then he's got
And within the 3-hour game, he's
rehab.
He's only on the field for half of that, where the offense is on field, and then so it's like...
And that's even dependent upon if they go up by such a huge amount that he gets pulled because they're doing so well.
So is there a job out there that your title probably cruise ship captain? Like you just get
you could get into that Malcolm Gladwell Gladwell rule, isn't it?
Well, he just makes decisions, right?
No, he has the rule. I think it's him that has the 10,000 hours to become a professional at anything. So if you're going to be a concert pianist, you have to practice 10,000 hours. If you're going to be a figure skater or ballet dancer, whatever it is, jobs other than arts too, you have to work 10,000 hours to truly become an expert. So arguably, almost anything till you get to that point is the road that leads up to it.
But what is that point? What is that job where the job title is all you do?
Concert pianist.
Let's go back to cruise ship captain.
Except if you do that, you probably teach too, so maybe not even that.
Well, cruise ship captain, he's got a staff that does everything for him.
Yeah, but his main job...
But he just makes the decisions, right?
No, he's got a tough job. That's like being the manager or head of anything.
He's the manager of the whole cruise ship.
Yeah, it's on your head. Heavy is the head that weighs the crown. That's the sword of Damocles,
For whatever reason, it doesn't sound that tough to me.
So you're the very small amount of time driving, more time managing...
I don't think he ever touches the wheel, does he? I don't think...
May.
You're basically the CEO of that ship.
I think somebody else... I think he's like,
That's right.
This is the...
Some engineer...
Here are the coordinates.
Yeah, somebody has the con.
Yeah, even in video games, when I'm the captain, I always have somebody else steer the boat, and I order them, I poke them with a sword. It's what you're supposed to do. Never supposed to touch the wheel yourself.
You know what?
You're the true captain.
Yeah. Airline pilot, for the most part, shows up to work, gets in the plane, flies, right? There's not that much other stuff involved. I don't know.
I believe it's a stressful job, though. So my dad runs a counseling center for drugs and alcohol, and that's one of the things he's licensed to do is to treat airline pilots and train engineers and stuff.
One got arrested the other day for he was in the cockpit drunk.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, that happened.
They pulled him out, and he's done.
I think that's a stressful job.
Well, I mean, he could get a job for like a little airline flying cargo or something, right?
I feel like, though, I would be fine with him being a little drunk. I'm like, this guy, he's probably an alcoholic. He's
I don't
fine.
want
You know what I'm
drunk,
saying?
but he can have 3 beers.
Yeah,
Probably don't want an alcoholic though either. Flying your plane.
And is he drunk from the night before and still drunk? I don't count that.
That's not drunk. That's foggy. Everybody knows that.
And I feel like he's old enough and experienced enough.
You can't tell he's the first time he's ever been drunk, so go back in his record. If his record's clean, then let him drink.
It's like my stepdad. If he had a couple beers, I'm not that nervous to drive around with him.
I'm already on hand.
Yeah, he's fine driving.
Yeah, I mean, that thing's got autopilot anyway. Now, if he pours his beer into the controls, now we have a problem.
Right?
I don't know.
It's like radio.
I'm not on the same page with you guys on that.
It's like radio. You can drink in the studio, just don't pour your beer into the console.
I've been in that studio. It used to say all the time, no drinks in here, and everybody had to drink in
Dan
there.
Stone dumped a coffee in there one time. Am I supposed to say that?
I don't want.
He doesn't work here anymore.
Some frat boy who's blacked out, who's has only been drinking a couple years, but an old curmudgeon airline pilot. That guy, he could fly this thing. We could fly that on 10 beers probably.
Any job where you've got like the lives of other people is your responsibility. That's a stressful job right there.
That's true.
So even though firefighter, if that's exclusive what you do and maybe you have downtime, yes.
I think they're probably
in every job
more worried about them. Like at first, they're like, "Well, if I crash this thing, I'm gonna die." Then I don't want all these other people to die. But still, their main probably motivation to not crashing, which is fine with me because I'm glad that he values his life so much and really try.
That's like my friend's dad was a nurse anesthetist, and that was like the greatest job ever because he made a freaking fortune. This is
a nurse anesthetist.
A nurse anesthetist, basically.
A nurse anesthetist.
A nurse anesthetist.
A nurse anesthetist.
You don't know what that is?
I mean, I guess, is
Anesthesia?
that an anesthesiologist nurse?
Yeah, so if you're going to get an epidural, you might see an anesthesiologist or you might see a nurse anesthetist. And if you...
Nurse anesthetist!
Or if you're, getting put into twilight sleep or whatever it is for some procedure, you see one of those.
Oh,
and what his schedule used to be, he worked like 20 hours a week, and then he was on call like 20 hours a week.
He was a nurse?
Yeah.
They have boy nurses? Weird.
Yeah, and the joke's on you, man. He made a killing.
Oh, I bet.
The lady that gave my wife the epidural both times.
Doctor or nurse?
It was a doctor, I think.
Oh, damn it. I wanted you to say
nurse. I don't know what
you to say.
I'm like, let me see your paperwork. I don't know who the hell it is.
Are you a nurse?
I just assumed that they
a
got
doctor?
You were going down the sexist road. I was just going down arguing that there are nurse anesthetists.
But I found
I was saying I'd rather have an anesthesiologist and not a nurse anesthetist.
I saw what she did, and I hear tell they make like $380,000 just poking some needles in
an
someone's
anesthesiologist.
spine.
I think the average pay is something like $290,000 a year.
Well, that one's kind of scary because people
Like-
have died. Like, oops, I gave that 4-year-old way too much.
Yeah.
Well, he won't be waking up for
so
a while.
my point is, even though he was, worked a lower amount of hours per week, is a very, very difficult job. There's a lot of pressure on you. You have lives in your hands, and that's why any job where you've got that responsibility is that there's a heavy weight.
I don't know. They seem pretty calm to me. Every time I see...
I dealt with a lot
because
of them.
I think they take a little bit of the juice before they come in.
No,
That's
they're
not
just
good.
They have to test to see if it's working. I would want that. It's like, okay, yeah, that's
like,
that's a good.
They've done it so many times it doesn't even matter to them. They've been flying C-130s in the military for 25 years. They retired. They fly these passenger jets. They're like, I've done this 10,000 times. Like,
I mean, if this guy can outfly cruise missiles, I think he's going to be okay getting us to Las Vegas.
Like, I imagine he's about as nervous as I am talking on this show right now, which a lot of people would be. Because
I don't know. Based on the fact that you have an event, they'd probably be calmer.
Well, no, I'm not nervous about that. I'm more frustrated.
Yeah, but I don't think they would be.
Cider House rules. I could not. This drive me crazy. Cider. That was where Michael Caine was sniffing his own ether.
Yeah. I think
I don't want that.
I bet you a lot of doctors do that.
Especially
plastic surgeons. I bet a lot of them are like, oh, that's the good stuff. All right, let's cut up some teas.
In the 90s, probably. Nowadays, too many people have phones.
No, you do it yourself.
You can't dip in your own sauce.
What happened to
the nurse pulling her pants down and stuff like that? You're like, I should have done that.
That's pornos. That's not reality.
No, there was one.
I'm telling you right now, if you don't think for a second that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that there were plastic surgeons who were getting their own juice and telling their nurse to pull their panties down, you're crazy.
Yeah.
Well, first off, that is always a possibility. I mean, there's a high incidence of addiction in medicine. I mean, it's just same thing with law. There's a high amount of addiction and mental illness in these high pressure jobs because they're high pressure. There's a lot of stress that comes with those jobs, so it's common.
Was your second choice for job, Tom? Not second choice. Was your first choice for job honestly always power sports manager? Wasn't that like your goal?
Yeah, I just assumed I didn't have no goals. Never had goals.
No, I mean serious. I'm not even making jokes about it.
No, I just assumed I'd fall into some sort of line of work where I worked around
like dirt bikes, jet skis, stuff like that.
Yeah, because I knew about that stuff, so I was just like, I like that stuff. I always in the mindset of like work around things you like is probably going to be better than things you don't like.
Do we love?
Not really love. I mean, I
or
knew,
do something you enjoy at least,
or be around things you enjoy. So at least there's a piece of that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
actually, scratch that. Just do something that is
fulfilling.
That pays the bills and takes care of your needs, and that you can find some type of pride and joy in.
You're right.
Because like telling people to follow their dreams is just dumb.
Yes, it is dumb.
That's just a recipe. Nobody's going to go, I'm going to be a ditch digger, and the world needs those.
I've always said, if you say do what you love, you're telling the person they're always going to love what they do because they do what they love, but it's more complicated than that.
Yeah,
because
that's right.
You do what you love to do, but if
you tell everybody
it's
to
your
do what they love,
job,
everybody's going to be a professional singer. Like...
And if it's
that's not going to work.
Yeah, if it's your job, what's your goal there? Then is your goal to make it the most successful as possible? If it is, then you're probably going to put an insane amount of work into it, which is then going to make it work. Right? That's what the definition of work is.
When we played music, that was hard work for sure.
Yeah,
I loved every second of it. But I mean, like when we were in the studio and recording, we'd be in there like 18 hours a day.
Yeah.
Maybe 20, and then you would go home and sleep. And then go back in immediately. When we were on tour, there was a lot of downtime, but you were on the road like a lot.
Yeah.
I was very mean to EJ. He's in our Twitch chat room, twitch.tv/Tom and Dan Live. He said, I think he was basing this on dreams. He said, I want to be a dinosaur, and I replied, you are.
No, he's talking about Step Brothers.
What?
Step Brothers.
He's quoting Step Brothers?
Yeah.
I haven't watched it enough to quote it.
It's a great movie.
It is a great
It's before Adam McKay made serious movies. That's like the whole thing with Adam McKay and Todd Phillips. Like Todd Phillips, his commentary on the Joker, which is his new big movie, is that his brand of humor is out. It's out of vogue right now, so he may as well make something that's serious. And it's almost critical of, I don't know, whatever. There's some criticism and joke involved, meta joke involved in the movie. You should read his interviews. It's interesting.
I know we've talked about jobs before on a Gentleman's Guide, but
I think a lot of our show revolves around that. I think
my wife has this theory that because
do you have a frog in your throat?
What?
You sound like you had a frog in your throat.
Oh, okay.
I got it! He's kidding you.
This is not the day to mess with Tom.
He's getting it.
I'm going to flip the table over and start
that one?
going crazy.
I did like how you were trying to do like this big point about your wife's theory, and he's like, you got a frog in your throat? and then he goes,
sounds like I have a frog in my throat. I'm going to steal your shoes, Kramer. I'm not going to
roll on the roof. Oh, Kramer just threw his shoe
I'm going to put them on. Now I'm wearing shoes. My feet are hot.
Yeah, that's why
it's making me hot.
I didn't want to bring that up, but one of the reasons
I got to wear shoes for the goddamn news.
I got to wear shoes for the goddamn news. I got to wear shoes for the goddamn news.
I guess I don't, but I feel like a post
good, right?
Got to wear shoes in the news.
I feel like everybody's looking at us like we're idiots anyway, that we don't deserve to do it. Like, they're like, what is this?
And then I'm with you. They're looking at me like I'm an idiot, too.
I know!
Can I Nate Dogg you for a second?
What?
Wear shoes on the news.
Like, it even matters. We'll do it.
They don't, I mean, like...
No one cares.
You ever get... I know this is completely off topic.
We're not going to go back to Crystal's theory.
I just got to say...
You guys seriously got to get a flow together.
No, people love it when we don't.
You got
I tried. It's Mr. Frog Throat.
Do you ever get
Threw a
songs?
shoe on the floor.
Mr. Frog.
Do you ever get songs in your head you just can't get out? I know we've talked about it on the show
Shoes
before.
of the News is going to be stuck in my brain all
Just
day.
now when we were talking, I got a song on my head because I started playing it this past weekend because it was in my head. It's the Pee-wee's Big Adventure theme.
Don't know it. You're a crazy person.
I almost threw your shoe back.
You know who doesn't do this? Dan Newland. Does he sit on the couch going...
So anyway,
I'm
Crystal,
not making that face.
Crystal has a theory that
I got the sheet music for that.
You got the shimmy dog ham.
that all like nice places to live, like beachfront areas, like basically the more desirable place to live, are going to be more and more filled up.
Rich people.
Not because of rich people, but because it's a lot easier to work remotely than it ever was before. For instance, all these people that lived in the Midwest and stuff, and like, you know, you were forced to live in Nebraska because of that where your company was. But say you're just like, you know, the IT guy or
Yeah, you just tell the
remote-
drone to harvest your wheat.
yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
yeah, or whatever it is, and then they're going to start to realize, like, why am I living in this
not
hellhole? So cold, I'll just go live and make my home office the beach
Yeah.
because I work from home.
Yeah, you see a lot of that.
So, like, all the most desirable places to live will be more and more filled by the people that can work remotely.
And you know what they say about real estate?
What?
Location is everything.
Well, I'm just saying it's going to make it harder and harder to find.
So
really
basically,
cool
what we're
place to
saying
live.
is Crystal's advice, which really we should not be sharing it, we should be capitalizing on it.
Mm.
But if you're a listener, that's one of the perks of listening. Now you know, buy in those premium locations because they're going to get even more expensive.
Yeah. Now,
Which it is only rich people that live on the water.
it is true, yeah.
Yeah.
But but anywhere that's just more desirable to live, any cities, any like places that are just cool that you couldn't before. I feel like it's going to be filled up because now the internet has made.
I mean that's already done though. I mean, like look at San Francisco. Good luck moving there.
Yeah,
Good luck
yeah.
buying a house in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Or in San Diego, or in Manhattan. Like you can't.
Yeah, but then what about the places that are like Costa Rica and like the places that people normally don't live around the world because you can't, but now the internet has made it.
Or maybe it's yes. So maybe it's almost like maybe people will leave those places because maybe you don't need to be in New York to work there. Right?
Yeah.
You can go to the most beautiful place in the world, even though Manhattan has its own beauty.
Yeah, it's got a charm to it.
Yeah,
sure.
it does have it for sure, and an energy. But it's not like Cape Cod.
Yeah, it's not with a beautiful view.
Yeah.
Mountains, beach.
Yeah,
that
you're
kind of
not
thing.
on
Yeah,
a mountain. You're not like on the side of a cliff where normally you could never be there. Yeah, I think that makes sense going into the future.
What work-life balance
Can I have my shoe?
makes you through it? Here we go.
Tapped him. You should have given him back one of your shoes.
How many hours do you think we should work as human beings?
A week?
Like a week?
I think like 2 hours a day
For a lawyer,
every
it's
day.
60 minimum.
It seems like it's way too much, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not.
Well, as a nation, aren't we the worst as
Yes.
far as work-life balance?
Or best.
I think Japanese pretty good. They'll work this.
I think we actually work longer hours than any country, but I'm going to check.
Yeah, I think like the Japanese have been pretty on top of working yourself to death, falling on your sword.
I
when
know
you,
we're not very
when you
good at
mess up.
taking holiday time, though, or,
No.
or vacation time. We're not good at that at all.
Like
admittedly, I am not good at that at all.
I wonder what it's like. We all do it for money, but it must be more than that because, like, the people that have more than enough money to live a fine life, and then what's defined as like?
Well, some of it's expectation, right? Like, I think some of it isn't even that you needed to do it. You might be expected to do it just because that's the way it's always been.
Or your personality.
South Korea works the most hours per year on average.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm telling you, a lot of Asian countries, they work them like a crazy work ethic. But it got me thinking the other day. I was like, what what are we all really doing this for? I mean, because there's an amount of, like, if you have no
Why
job.
are we even here, man?
Well,
like, that's very...
But there is value.
High.
But
I was
there
high
is
when I
meaning
thought
to
about
be
that.
derived from work.
True.
I mean, assuming responsibility is part of being fulfilled. Part of healthy mental health is having routine and taking pride in work. But I'm with you. It should
probably doing it
obviously
too
be
much.
balanced.
Oh,
Yeah, we're the balance is off, I feel.
Here's a different one. This is from Forbes. This has Mexico at the most hours with 2,246. South Korea being second. The United States is pretty far down there. We're 1,779 hours on average in 2015.
It makes sense to me, like, okay, if without money to worry about, and you just had to fill your
Interestingly,
week.
German low on there. 1,300 hours, roughly.
I think
Well,
European,
they've done enough bad. So
Yeah, that's
they're like, we're just not going to do anything.
Maybe they're extra efficient, though.
Yeah.
So if you have your work week, right, and you were able to, like, make your own work week, this is a
we are.
fantasy.
We are. That's what we do.
The problem is you get bound by certain procedural
What, I can make
things.
my own work week?
Yeah.
And pick how much I want to work.
How much time spent in that work week?
Am
Now,
I still doing this particular job?
whatever job it is, like, let's just say the job is X.
Perfect world.
And then the amount of time you go to work and leave.
I'd go in at 10. I'd leave at 2.
What we do now.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would do.
I will say that
Even the good is bad.
I'm
Write that one down. We're all just here to get out of here. Even the good is bad.
Yeah,
I'm a highly kinetic person. I can't stop doing things.
We know.
I'm always working on something. Even at home, I have some project or something that I'm working on.
Oh, we found the best photo of you that we wanted to use for our 10-year.
But
Well, we thought you'd get mad if we used it, but it's you putting on shaving cream for some article they wrote about you for Ship to Shore.
I would be mad.
Well, because it just like, why are you putting that on your face? Because it looks a little like
It's white.
it's shaving cream. I have a razor in my hand. That was the cover of the Orlando Business
there
Journal.
was no razor in your hand. You
It was
had
the poofy thing.
You had the
I had the brush.
The
That's
brush.
right. I did. Yeah.
But I photoshopped the brush out, and I put a big old
Good.
mega D.
So, like,
Some of us aren't homophobes.
20 hours.
I'm not either. That's why I put I put my own on there.
So, like, 20, 25
I
hours a
just
week.
snorted.
Probably best. I don't know. Whatever.
What'd you say? 25
I would
hours a
be
week?
for me. I would work. I would work a lot, but I would do things that I loved, which is what I do basically.
Yeah, I don't think that. But I also think it would be impossible for any of us to work less unless we were working for somebody and still enjoyed what we did.
I don't know. Like,
That would be the perfect job for me.
You couldn't
I
work
think.
for somebody and enjoy what you do.
No, I think
That's
I
not your
could.
person.
If, like,
You're like a Mustang man. You've already been in the wild. You can't go back now.
well, I mean, there is some truth to that, but
Sign you into the
if
corporate
Daniel
world
was
again.
in a corporate,
you lose your mind.
No, it
Well,
have to
that
be
he
a
liked
small, like if
company,
let's
Even
say
worse because they're not run very well a lot of times.
If I work for a tiny mom and pop, let's say locksmith company or someplace up here, and
that work for about 2 months until you're like, these people don't know what they're doing.
no, and they let me make
Daniel
my own
would
schedule.
be fine.
Yeah,
would be less stressed.
Yeah,
Like, Daniel, like, he
low anxiety, low stress.
That's like my dream about working like at an Ace Hardware or something. Just
That's one of my dreams.
or being or like at a fine restaurant, like, here's your Diet Coke, sir.
Well, see, you'd be good at that, but like working at maybe you nailed it even more than my theory. Like working at an Ace Hardware for like an old grandpa owner who's really nice.
How many copies
and
of
I'm
this
like his
key do you
right
need,
hand
sir?
man. Yeah, that's not a bad. That doesn't sound bad. I think you could even do that.
Let me show
That's
you how
not
this
bad.
big green egg works. I'm going to tell you how to make the best ribs in the world.
But my illness is I get too restless and I'd be like, I could be the manager at the place. Then I'm the manager and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I hate
Well, it's
this
fantasy. None of
company.
us could do it. I mean, it's
That's
just
what
not
I'm
possible.
saying.
I'm like way too type A to do that.
But is that?
But I'd like to in my fantasy.
I know.
Like, sir, can I carry your Yeti to the car for you? Like,
Yeah, that's fun.
that's all you got to do, and then you go home and you're done.
Strap this resin chair in the back of your truck.
What I'm saying is having a bunch of ambition and being type A and being like a workaholic is. You could argue that it's a hindrance. Like, yes, it is a thing that makes people successful, makes you a lot of money, but a lifelong
Well, you gotta balance
picture
that.
of it. Is it probably better to be like that or better not to be like that and enjoy it? Because
So the thing
you're
is,
all going to
you
be
have-
dead at the end of it.
You
So
have different
what's-
roles in your life, and you have to make sure to serve each role. So, sure, one of the roles is as a professional or as a business owner, but some of your roles are as a friend, as a husband, as a brother, as a father, and you need to make sure that you commit and balance each of those roles, and then to the role to your physical health as well. And if any of that gets out of balance, then your life is in disarray and goes into chaos, and that's not a good place to be. So, being a workaholic, if it's lopsided and focused only on your career or job, then yes, that's not going to be a fulfilling existence ultimately. Because something else is going to suffer, and you see that with some people that are highly successful. So, that's would be my answer, is always working towards something, but in service of each of those roles and in keeping all of them in balance would be my dream.
What I'm talking
And
about
always
is
what I strive for.
I always have this pressure that I'm putting on myself for no reason.
Well,
It's
that
just-
would probably never go away.
That's what I'm saying. It's a problem that I feel that people glorify, and they're like, "Yeah, you got to be an ambitious grinder, work like you got to grind it out, whatever." And then, but I'm looking at it kind of like a hindrance to
Can be.
your happiness,
Absolutely.
because you can't be content with anything because you're always like, got to keep going.
Something I always believed in is working to the point of diminishing returns and then switching gears. So, the funny thing is, like, I was an underachiever kid. Like, I was a big underachiever. I was kind of a class clown kid, didn't get my assignments in. I was always gaming the system. So it was, how can I get the best return for the least effort, is basically what I did until I graduated law school almost. So it's kind of flipped now that I've, after I graduated law school and became an adult, then I became like a very focused person. But I think there was a lot of merit to the idea of getting the best return for the least effort. That's working smart, not hard. And that is,
Let's take a little break because we're way late. We'll take a little break. We'll come back. We can keep discussing this. We'll dig into some voicemails. You're listening to A Gentleman's Guide to Manliness. It's the Tom and Dan Cruise 2020. This is like what, our 7th or 8th cruise I think we've done?
Yep.
And if you go to the website, tomanddancruise2020.com, that's the numbers, 2020.com, you can check out. We're going to be sailing April 20th through the 24th, 2020, and it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun.
Absolutely. If you missed this year's cruise, the 2019 cruise, you definitely book the 2020 cruise. Like Daniel said, tomanddancruise2020.com. Welcome back to A Gentleman's Guide. Tom Van.
Dan Dennis.
Steve Kramer.
If people could only see what Steven does during the breaks, you're like tapping on the mic stand and you're like strumming the springs and then singing the Pee Wee Herman theme
I'm just
song.
making music.
You
what I do.
You can't sit quietly. Like, I feel like a road trip with you would be a goddamn nightmare. I feel like you do. Like, I bought 5 CDs of polka music here and put it on, and you'd be playing and singing along. And let's play Punch Bug. You're punching me in the arm.
I make
and I'm
really,
like,
really good
can't
playlists.
we just be quiet? Like, there's some.
That's just because you guys are stressed out from this event.
No.
Otherwise,
we're fine. Everything's fine. And even
Just
if
breaking
it
the
isn't,
tension.
look, it'll keep moving on.
believe me, I lived in a van. I lived in an RV. I lived on a bus on the road. I'm very good at being on the road.
You have.
I'm
You've
very
done
good at being on the
everything
road.
in the world.
Although when I was in my band, one of the things is our guitarist did not want to play music. So
Well, that's not good for guitarists.
we broke, like in the car on the road, because it was distracting to the driving. Anyway, so eventually we broke that, but we had like 5 tapes for a while. It was,
Why didn't you guys just have like headphones? Just kind of do your thing.
I guess that would be a good idea. We broke it. We broke that cycle and broke him down, but for a while.
You bullied him into putting music
Basically.
on. What were you going to say before the break, or do you just want to jump to voicemail?
Yeah,
It's up
let's
to
do
you, man.
voicemails.
All right. If you'd like to leave us a voicemail, you guys know the drill. You just get our free app. Look for Mediocre app or Tom and Dan app wherever you find your smartphone apps. There's a button on there that says Mediocre Messages. You can hit that and leave us a message just like this one. Let's see.
Hey Tom and Dan, this is Jeremy in South Carolina, and this message is for A Gentleman's Guide. I was listening to the discussion between the trades of HVAC and plumbing and electrician, and I'm a HVAC man, and I have about 5 years of experience. So I would definitely say that the hierarchy goes air conditioning, electrician, and plumbing.
Says the AC.
Because HVAC dabbles in everything. Electric, plumbing, I've done it all. Electricians are a little bit more book smart, have a little bit of ideas, and plumbers are just dodo crazy.
Well, that's not nice.
I knew these.
That's like asking
all the
a
trades, they
Navy guy
fight
what
each
the
other.
best branch of the military
You
is. He's
didn't
gonna
know
say
when
Navy.
you threw that out there that I was loaded, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you knew.
that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to start all the fights. Also, I feel like with the air condition repair guys, nothing against them, but they're only repairing air conditioning. Like they are dealing with plumbing and electric stuff, but they're the essential thing they are repairing is around the same at any instance.
Okay,
So
well,
they're
hold
bigger,
on.
That's
smaller.
right. They don't have to adapt. It's always the same.
An electrician could be like
Now, do they
a lot
all-
of, I guess, well, it's just wires to electricity.
Do they all deal with the same level of patron or whomever they're helping, the anger factor? Because
No, plumbers definitely dealing with the most anger.
You think so? Because of poo-poo?
Heat. Yeah,
I was
if you
thinking,
got,
I was thinking AC guys probably get some pretty angry people,
Yeah,
right?
because it's hot.
But then if your power's off,
Or
your
cold.
AC's probably not running either.
Yeah.
But your power typically
yeah, but a
is
lot of
off
times electricians
because-
are rewiring something or replacing a fuse or.
I think AC guys and plumbers get more anger than electricians because electricians are normally adding something to your home. If your power's off, it's typically the power company's problem,
Yeah.
not necessarily something you would need an electrician for, right? Because I think you got to factor that in.
Did we not throw computer tech support as a trade? I mean, there is
That
trade
one-
school for that.
Yeah, but you can do that online.
No. I'm talking about being a support guy. Like I did that actually. Shocking.
Yeah,
I did that
we know,
for Dell.
Steve.
I was
Yeah,
Dell
we
certified
know.
tech.
We know.
Is that not a trade though? I think it's a trade.
Was that when you were
I'm looking
living
for more
with
stereotypes.
with a large black family, or was that when you were living with a small Jewish family?
I'm looking at more of.
I did build computers to pay my way through a lot of college.
I'm sure you did.
I guess you could throw a mechanic.
I did
too.
work for Dell.
Is mechanic?
But
what do you
mechanic
think
is-
of mechanic?
Mechanic's a trade. So
it's turned more into though you're dabbling into
Yeah, that's
computer
right, it is.
software stuff.
Yeah,
You know, like
that job is really pivoted. Like
Yeah.
a job that used to be like, oh, I got all my Snap-on tools is now, well, I got those, but I also have to have all these
Yep.
different plug-ins and receivers to test
yeah.
different chips and flash this and flash
I think
that.
both of those need to be added to the mix. Mechanic for either, for any type of machinery, because it could be for cars or for, big trucks, big rigs, or it could be for machinery.
Diesel, yeah.
Being a machinist, I mean, that's being a
You
computer
get
guy,
really, really skinny.
a tech support guy, a network engineer.
I put that real low. Because like you're dealing with old people, you can just take your time.
For what?
For like if tech support, some old lady's
Well,
calling me because she can't reboot her MacBook.
But it depends
that
at the
sounds
level.
like the most miserable job in the world.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. It's
tech
very
support.
easy. Because if you're just on a phone, you have to think, well, I'm either going to solve their problem or I'm not.
Yeah, but
There's only-
Hold on.
there's
I mean,
only-
that's only one aspect of it. You could also be you could be a tech support guy. You could also be like a tech on a bench where your job is to repair
I don't
hardware
wanna
and
do
software.
that.
I did
No,
that.
I don't want to do that.
Dude,
That was a tough job.
Imagine every day, multiple times a day, teaching your grandma how to use your computer. Like that
Yes.
sounds miserable to me.
I intentionally forgot as much as I could about IT and computer work because you think lawyers get a lot of questions about law stuff. When I did tech work, everybody asked me questions about computers. My printer doesn't work. Whatever it was,
Yeah.
always got that call.
I see the
Always.
misery in Butler's eyes when he tries to help me with my computer. And
Butler, we all
and he's-
kind of had a go round,
and as he's trying to teach me how to open
What
iTunes.
about welding? We forgot about welding.
Welding, though,
welding's cool.
is
It is.
I'm a really, really poor welder.
welding
Not
is,
good.
is more of a job that you're working either for some sort of company doing the same thing over and over. It's less of a with the AC and the electric and the air conditioner and the plumber.
Yeah.
They're going to people's houses or businesses and so the welder's not really traveling
Yeah, you
around to
come to
people's
him.
housing welding stuff.
You could get welding at your house, but yes, it's few and far between.
You've had welding at your house. What do they want?
Hire a welder.
What happened? Your suit of
Hold
armor
on.
fell over?
Let me just say something. I was going to
You
start.
need to weld a sword back into a hand
I started
in your
to say
library?
something. I started to say that, and then I realized I stopped myself because I knew as soon as I said it,
Have
you
you
would,
ever
you would make fun
counted
of that.
the
and go,
number of times that
sure,
Tom
of course
says
you've had
something and
welding
you're
in your
like,
house.
I have welders in my house all the time.
I've had welding.
It was just because I said it.
Yeah,
that doesn't really.
exactly.
Like, no, it
There's
does.
almost an equation there where
Like, no, it doesn't. Throw your shoe again.
Tom's like, there's no such thing as moon boots. And you're like, well, actually, I'm wearing moon boots.
Like, no, you're
And they're
not.
autographed.
You just
by
said
Buzz
that.
Aldrin. Yes, I have a railing on my deck, and I've had welding done.
Wow.
I was not going to bring it up.
The
I
new
stopped
name of the
myself.
show is something that Steven hasn't done.
Yeah.
And
You'll never find it.
I'm going to find it.
What about airplane mechanic? My dad's best friend growing up, airplane mechanic for Eastern, and then for other airlines.
That's a good one, right?
Right?
Union job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well, yes.
But
Good
then,
job.
I will say, when I look out there and I see those guys doing things, they don't look like I'm not staring into the eyes of like, Steven or Friendly Ray Trinley. Like when I look at them, I don't get a.
Oh no, he was a smart guy, man.
I don't get a good. I'm not saying they're not.
They
but
know
I'm
how
just,
to do their own, what they know how to do.
But
Yeah,
how many
that's not-
aircraft mechanics have you met?
My buddy's actually an aircraft. I know him now. I'm doing what Steve's doing, but Alex, he doesn't actually work on jet engines.
We're supposed to draw on our experience for what we talk about. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
He does X-ray tech. There's huge.
Oh, yeah.
There's a huge industry in which he literally all he does. Like every jet engine has to have their pieces X-rayed to make sure there's no microscopic cracks in certain parts of it or
Oh,
whatever.
wow.
And so
I didn't know that.
He just that's his whole job is
why
X-ray.
don't people tell me that stuff? That would actually make me feel better about getting on a plane.
My dad's a pilot.
I didn't
and,
know they did
and
that.
he has told me, like a private pilot, not professional, but like the amount of checks and rechecks that go into maintaining planes is insane.
Yeah. Also,
He X-rays the engines.
that's
That's a
pieces of engine.
That's
Can
cool.
we interview him for Weird Job Wednesday?
That would be
That's
great.
an awesome
It's-
job.
I've talked to him about it. It's boring as hell.
no.
Stinks.
He gets out the machine, he X-rays it.
Yeah,
but-
have you ever found anything critical where you're like,
Yeah, like it's just, but it's all like this has a crack on the L2 screw here, and then that,
and then they go replace it. It's good
Yeah,
to go.
yeah,
We mentioned carpenter. We didn't mention mason, like being a stonemason.
Ooh,
brick
is that where
mason.
you get the secret handshake and then
That's
you
Freemason, brick
and then you
mason,
wear the bird
stonemason.
mask and then you have an orgy at Bohemian Grove?
That is not something to take lightly. Like the carpenters will, a good carpenter, actually, guy that does a lot of work for me, he'll tell you, man, I do not do masonry. You need a mason to do that.
Those are the most real men. I've met all the concrete dudes I've ever met, and all the guys that are into masonry are the real men. Like
Yeah.
straight up hands of stone. Like literally been inhaling enough concrete dust.
Oh, yeah.
They're good as dead. They all tell it. They're like, I've been inhaling this dust, and now they change the rules and they find out like they use a different chemical because the other dust.
Yeah, thanks a lot. For 20 years, I was eating the Chinese
Great.
drywall dust.
Do we include any medicine in our trades? Because, like, I'm not talking about college degree.
Ooh, like drug dealer?
No, like nuclear medicine, like X-ray tech. I mean, those are...
I have a family member who is an X-ray tech, and I will tell you that one you can scratch off the list. Super easy, and any dum-dum can do it.
All the sonogram.
We had a family friend that did nuclear medicine because my aunt and uncle worked in a hospital, and that was like a great job to have. It paid very well, and it wasn't a medical job. Let me rephrase that. It wasn't like a physician type or nurse job, but it was definitely a job in medicine that incorporated trades.
Best job in medicine is when you don't have to deal with the patients. It seems like, right? Like you're just a surgeon, the patient's already asleep, or you're X-ray tech or anesthesiologist. You're doing the roundabout thing.
And remember in the late 90s, early 2000s, all surgeons, like badasses, they had this mystique about them where they'd like walk in, people are putting their gloves on them, putting their head and their mask on and everything, and then some other nurse would be like, do you want your usual, sir? And he's like, yeah, put on the latest album by the Black Keys. Mm-hmm. And they press play on it, he's rocking, and he's in the...
Was that movie in the 90s?
Yeah.
That's Dr. Strange.
Yeah, and then you're rocking out, and you're like a superstar.
Yeah,
you're like
you're
a
God
rock,
complex.
You're a rock star.
You're like, I am making you alive, which he actually is.
Yeah,
like,
he is.
Well, it depends, man. I mean, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, you're fixing important, joints, but...
I'm gonna be a podiatrist.
How do you handle the stress once you take the person's heart out and then they run it through that system so you keep the body alive?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like once you're like, oh, the heart's out. Like,
Well,
what if I pass out? Like,
yeah.
you know, the only
don't
one
do
that can do this.
And how
They
are you
don't figure it
not?
out.
How are you not tempted? You know, like when I'm on a bridge,
we're gonna have a surgeon on the show.
Let's do it. You know when I'm on a bridge and I'm tempted to like yank it to the right and go off the bridge? I wonder if a surgeon, when he pulls the heart out, is tempted to just squish it in his hands.
The two that I want to get.
Oh, that's the bad one.
Two of my
Don't
buddies.
squish
I'm
it.
going to get in here.
You get at least one of those, right? You're allowed to squeeze at least one.
I'm going to get a urologist in here because we do a show that's geared towards men, and then I want to get a brain surgeon in here.
And get a gynecologist in here. I need to know what's going on down there.
I've talked to gynecologists. It's pretty standard. They're just like, they're desensitized. You know, like it's just
I cannot.
It's
Wait,
human to human.
That's a weird thing to say.
now.
I've talked to gynec about what setting. What were you talking about?
Like a doctor that like OBG. It's I want to
Like your wife's gynecologist? Hey,
it's a poker game, and then I've just talked to him
It's
about like what.
OBGOMG.
And it's
LOL.
It's just like anything. it's your norm,
OMG.
and so it doesn't mean anything to you. It's just like totally you're desensitized by everything. So
well, that's with any
LMFAO.
profession. You
I
get
know.
used to what you're doing, and you build up, some scales and a little bit of desensitization.
Anyway, we gotta go.
Yep, we got to get out of here. OneFirmForLife.com. If you have any legal need, Steven's team can take care of you. Absolutely. And if they can't, they can give you somebody who can.
True.
If you guys want to come to our 10-year anniversary, it is this Saturday, Wall Street. Non-BDMs get there around 7:30. We'll take the stage at 8. For all you BDMs, you should know the pre-party starts around 5:30.
Yep.
You'll see.
Get on down there. DJ Angel will be spinning some of your favorites and some Tom and Dan favorites. So, guys, thanks so much for listening, and we will see you next week.